Hi everyone, welcome to week 7. So this week we will be mainly working through our midterm exam, so that's the big excitement for the week. But we still have assignments that are due this week, so we will be completing topic 6 in addition to our midterm exam. So just a reminder, you do have a quiz that is due by midnight tonight, so our topic 5 quiz is due, so don't forget to take that. And let's talk about the midterm exam. So you're going to be accessing the midterm exam via our Moodle page. Okay, so when you get into the midterm, first off, you're going to choose which midterm exam you want to take. So there's two choices. There's a multiple choice midterm exam and there's a written midterm exam. So as far as the differences, they are worth the same amount of points. They are the same length of time, so each student gets 90 minutes to complete the exam. The midterm multiple choice exam has 25 multiple choice questions, whereas the written exam has no multiple choice questions. The multiple choice exam also has some short answer questions. There's 5 of them. Whereas the written exam has, it doesn't actually say, I guess it probably has the same amount of 5 short answer questions. Okay, so it has the same 5 short answer questions. And then for the written midterm exam, midterm has 13 instead. So there's 5 short answer questions for the multiple choice. There's 13 short answer questions for the written. For the multiple choice, you have 6 essay questions available, but you only answer 3 of them. So you'll have basically 6 topics that you're going to choose, and then you answer 3 of them. And these essay questions, they're not like writing a paper type thing. It's more of multi-part questions. So you might have, some sort of concept and then part A, B, C, D that you have to answer. So, don't freak out and think you have to write an essay. So you'll have 6 kind of topics that you get to choose from, and then you'll only choose 3 of them to write. So if you choose more than 3, just realize that I will only grade the first 3. Okay. For the written exam, you'll have a list of 5 and you'll answer 3 of those. Okay. So depending on what style of learning style you are or what you're most comfortable with, you can choose which exam type you prefer. So most people, I'd say, choose the multiple choice. I've had a few students take the written midterm, but it's up to you. Whatever you prefer. So do you prefer taking having multiple answers in front of you and then choosing which one you think it is, or do you like to kind of explain what you understand and hopefully get partial credit for things? So it's kind of what you prefer. So when it comes to your time, you're going to go up into our Zoom meeting. Okay, so I will show up to our Zoom meeting probably about 10-15 minutes before our scheduled time. So feel free to show up early if you want, but make sure you show up on time. And if I'm with another student, you might have to wait. Okay, so basically, when I admit you into the Zoom meeting, I will put you in a breakout room. Okay, so you'll be the only person in your individual breakout room. And I'll ask you to share your screen. So when you share your screen, you'll turn your camera on, and then you'll enter into which exam you prefer. Okay, so if you choose the multiple choice, then you'll enter into that one. If you choose the written exam, then you'll enter into that one. Okay, so when you choose the exam, it will be of the correct time period. So you will click on Start Quiz, and it'll ask you to enter the password. So this is where I will give you the actual password, and you'll type it in, and then you'll start the exam. And during that time when you're taking the exam, it is a closed note, closed, workbook, closed resource quiz. So you will not be, using any notes. You'll just be using what you retained in your brain. So that's why, you're sharing your screen and everything. If you have any questions during the exam, or, occasionally I've had students have like an internet disruption or something like that. So that's why they're proctored, okay? So, if something like that happens, or if you have a question, you don't understand something, then, I'm there to help you. That's, good thing that you have for these proctored exams. So you can always ask for help. And I will, re-enter the room and help you with whatever you need, okay? When you're done with the exam, you make sure you click submit so that it submits all of your answers. And then you can just leave the Zoom meeting. You don't need to, say that you're done or anything like that to me. Okay. So with the midterm exam, it is I believe 175 points. So it's quite a bit of percentage of your grade. So you do want to do really well, which is, just make sure you're studying everything and preparing well for the exam. Okay. So this exam will, hopefully you will be preparing well and completing that during your Zoom proctor session. If you did not sign up for a session, or if you can't sign up for one of my sessions, then your only other option at this point is to do it through ProctorU, and you need to sign up ASAP to get a slot. And they will send me confirmation, and it closes by Sunday midnight, so you have to take it before then. Okay. In addition to the midterm exam, you do have things that you need to complete this week. So we have our Topic 6 reading assignment through Adigia. I don't know why that always signs off for me. So now I'm not in student mode. Anyway, you have your Topic 6 reading assignment. And I believe there are 7, let's see how many, 6 questions you'll be answering that go along with the reading that week. So we're going to have basically 4 assignments that are due, and we have an extra credit assignment that you can complete as well if you'd like. So let's get into the different assignments, make sure we understand what we're doing. Okay, so we have our student roles for the week. Make sure you take note of which student role you are. And then we'll get into the different community interactions we'll learn about. So this week is probably my favorite week because it gets into ecology, and I am an ecologist. This is what I studied in college, and this is, my favorite part of the term. So we'll get into ecology, which is basically looking at how species interact with each other in the environment and so forth. So the first activity we're going to look at is we're going to look at predator-prey populations and see how they influence each other's populations. So we're going to look at a study. Let me take a look at the actual paper here. So we have this introduction. So you're going to read about this Isle Royale in Lake Superior. And this is just a famous study that took place where we had some ecologists or biologists basically study this population of moose and wolves on this isolated island. And so they studied the populations of both of these. And so you're going to read about it, and then there's actually a video that goes along with it. So you'll go ahead and read and watch the video and draw a graph. Okay, so you're going to graph the populations. Okay, so you can see here that's quite a bit. You have a lot of data to graph. So we have the year, the wolves, and the moose. And it says here you're going to do dual axes, dual y-axes. So when you're going to graph this, okay, I'm going to let's see if I can. I don't have like the best tools here, but I'll try to do this as best I can. It's not going to be pretty, sorry about this, but you're going to have two y-axes. So, you know, this is one y-axis. Pretend it goes all the way to the bottom. Here's your x-axis, and then you'll have another y-axis, okay? Sorry, doesn't look that pretty. One y-axis will be your moose population, okay, so moose. And then the other y-axis will be the wolf population. And the reason why we have two separate axes is if we look at the actual populations, we have the wolves, you know, they go up to, I think the maximum is like 50 wolves, whereas the moose, the maximum is, I don't know, it gets up to like, you know, 2,500 moose. So you can't have them on the, you know, you can't have population size go up to 2,000 and then the wolf is only 50 on the same axis. It just doesn't work. So, you know, the moose population could go all the way up to 2,500, have the intervals kind of spread out more. And then the wolf population only going up to 50, have the intervals going a little bit smaller increments. And then you'll have the years going on the x-axis. And then you'll draw the two lines. So this is continuous data since it's going across time. So you'll have the moose population as one line and then the wolf population as another line. So you'll connect the dots for the populations. Okay. And then you will also take a look at the moose population and the fur rates. Okay, so that will be, let me take a look. So for this next graph, we have, basically we're graphing the moose population again. So we'll have kind of the years in the moose and then the fur growth rates. So the vegetation, the trees. So this one, it's going to be a little different. So you'll have, you know, the dual axes again. And then you'll have the moose. And then you'll have the balsam fir. Now what's different is the moose, it'll look the same as up here. So you'll have, you know, the up and down because the population will go up and down. But then look over here where you have the growth rates. They have, it's not numerical. It's more, you know, qualitative. You have average, above average, low. So you're just basically going to have to rate that. So, you know, if you take a look at the types of data, you have below average, you have average, you have low, you have above average. Okay, so when you're writing this out, you know, you're gonna put like above average as one of the intervals, average as another one. And so that's how you're gonna graph it, okay? And it's, since this part is above average and average is not technically, you know, it's not continuous data. We can't really, you're not really gonna need to connect the dots for this one, but you can see basically what's happening when the moose population is really high. What is happening to the tree population? Is it really high or is it, you know, really low? Are the moose eating all of the vegetation, or, you know, is the vegetation doing fine? So you'll kind of see what's happening to the moose population with the vegetation, as well as the, oops, I drew this on the wrong one, the moose population with the wolves. Okay, so you'll see the predator-prey relationship as well as the herbivore vegetation relationship. So once you've drawn those, you'll go ahead and answer the summary questions. Okay. Now some of these summary questions, you'll have to refer back to the article. Okay. So the article talks about some of the things that happened during that time. So do reference the article while you're filling out those summary questions. Okay. So once you have done all that, you're going to post both of your graphs. So make sure you post both of them. And then, let's see, and then you have your student role questions that you'll answer. So notice that everybody's going to be answering the same two questions, or 3 questions, 11 through 13, at the end. And then, let's see, number 10, 11, 12, explain your reasoning, evidence. Do you all agree? So you can just answer your student role questions. You don't necessarily have to answer, like, come up with a consensus on your hypothesis, since you're answering your own within the student role. So just basically address your student role part. So that is due by Sunday midnight. Okay. In the second part, we have our life histories and mudslides assignment. So in this part, we're going to basically take a look at our class activities. So we have our R and K select species and survivorship. So you'll watch a video on human population growth and take a look at the difference between R select species, their characteristics and survivorship, versus K select species, and then we'll relate that to human population growth. Okay, so you will also read all that information about that in our workbook. So there's a lot of information about that in our workbook. So life history strategies, the difference between K select and R select. Okay, so we're going to basically take a look and compare the two. So when we're comparing the two, basically just do one word answers here. So the extreme R select versus the extreme K select. So one side versus the other side. So for example, the relative size of the adults. For an extreme R select, they tend to be small, versus the extreme K select, they tend to be large. So if we think of an R select, think of like a little mouse, okay, for mammals. So they tend to be very small compared to a K select mammal would be large, okay? So that would be the extreme sides. And then, you know, the in between would be kind of a medium size. Reproductive age, you know, once the extreme R select when they reach reproductive age, they tend to be very young when they start reproducing, whereas an extreme K select would be, you know, relatively old when they start reproducing. So that's how you're going to fill out this chart. Okay, so one side, the extreme, and then the other side, extreme. So just one word answers is all you need. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else we need to answer before that. Yeah, so extreme, small, extreme, large. So then we're going to answer pages 83 to 84, and then we're going to look at succession. So answer the questions about the R select species and K select species. So, you know, that'll be based on the reading as well as in the textbook and that YouTube video. Okay, and then we're going to get into this idea of, or these scenarios that occur with logging. Okay, so we're going to go back into our Moodle page and we're going to look at succession. So you're going to watch the this overview of succession. Okay, so it's this little 6-minute video that talks about succession. So this basically succession is where, you know, what happens. Well, there's two types of succession. There's primary succession and there's secondary succession. So When we're talking about a mudslide, we're talking about secondary succession. So we're talking about, what happens after some sort of disaster takes place. So in this case, we're talking about a mudslide. So if we have a mudslide occur, it wipes out an entire, area. So, what's the first things that inhabit the area afterwards? So we'll kind of overview of succession. You'll also read about it in your textbook. And then we're going to take a look at some articles, okay? So in your, let me go back into the, up here, you have articles that you're assigned. So Article 2, Article 4, Article 6, okay? So in our assigned articles, so we have 2, 4, and 6. So if you're assigned 2, you're gonna, read this article. 4, you're gonna read this article. 6, you're gonna read this article. And based on your articles, you're going to answer the questions. Okay, so if we look at the questions we're going to answer questions 9 through 13. Okay, so based on those articles, describe some factors that led to these mudslides. So it's basically we're looking at, what human activities contributed to the mudslides and what could have prevented that from happening. Okay, so, and then we kind of go into the ethics behind it. Should government agencies have the authority to regulate activities of logging companies and so forth? So you can, this is more opinion based. You can kind of think about, what's the purpose of government? Should governments be involved? Should they not? That kind of thing. So this is all kind of your own opinion. So you are, able to state it and so forth. Okay. So once we are done, you're going to go ahead and post your, your part of your, contribution there. And then you're going to make comments on the answers of another student. So you're assigned like student 1, comments on student 2. And when you're commenting, do be respectful. So if, questions 12 and 13, if you're reading, for example, another student's opinions, and they are different from yours, you're completely welcome to, state like, oh, I disagree with your opinion. I kind of thought this, that's completely acceptable. But of course you want to do it in a respectable way. Okay. So obviously you want us to respect everybody. It's opinion, and you're free to, contradict their opinion and display your own. But we want to do that in a respectable way. Okay, so and feel free to comment on their answers, see if there's anything that they may have missed, and so forth. Okay, so that is the second assignment. Moving on into our third assignment, we're going to continue on with succession. So we're going to look at our overview of succession again. So there's our video again. So if you didn't, quite understand what it was, you can review that video again. And then starting on, what is it? Oh, this one, we're going to read the introduction. So we're going to talk about, what succession is and, how our environment recovers after some sort of natural disaster. So when we think about, some sort of natural disaster that takes place, such as, I don't know, maybe like a big forest fire goes through, or a mudslide, or flooding, or something like that. Typically we have a series of events that take place. So we typically have more of the R-select species that inhabit the area first, and they start establishing themselves. And then over time, we might see more of the K-select species impact the area and so forth. So we have this kind of series of communities that transition through until we end up with what's called a climax community. So you're going to play this game. So you're going to read about the game, on page 185. So you'll need a coin and or something, and you will have a board game. So the board game is included in your book here. So here's your board game. Okay, so you're going to start here with, you need some place markers. So grab, another coin or paper clip or whatever you want as your placeholder here. And it says to do this with a partner. If you don't have somebody in the room with you, then you can just, do it with yourself twice, so you can have you and another you to do this. Okay, so you'll flip a coin, who goes first, and then each player will flip the coin to determine their starting position. So if you're heads, you'll be the primary succession. So primary succession means you're starting from scratch. So starting from scratch would be there was nothing there to start with. So this would be, for example, a volcano has erupted and you have new soil coming, new land being developed. Or a glacier has retreated, and so something that has not been exposed to air in millions of years suddenly gets exposed, something like that. So that's primary succession, whereas secondary succession is recovering from some sort of natural disaster. Okay, so depending on which one you are is where you will start. Okay, so heads starts at primary succession, tails starts at secondary succession. And then you will flip the coin to determine how many spaces. So primary succession, heads moves one space, tails does not move. If you're secondary succession, heads moves one space, tails moves two space. So you'll follow the directions in the squares, and first one to land on the last square wins the game. Okay, so you'll just continue doing that, all the way through. Okay, so you play the game, and then let me look at the directions on here. So play the game at least once. Take a look at the impact of landing on the primary versus secondary succession. So if you're doing this by yourself, do the primary succession first and then do the secondary succession. Okay, and just compare the two, see what happens. So you'll see what happens with the different communities, and how long it takes you to reach the climax community at the end. Okay, so once you're done, go ahead and answer the questions, the summary questions at the end. So this kind of goes through what is ecological succession. Think about the different community types that you went through when you're going through the game, and the different types of plants that were involved and so forth. So you'll be able to describe, the types of plants that were involved in each of these communities, and then think about what type of animals would go along with these plants and so forth. Now, this question in number 8, you're going to formulate a forest management plan. So with this management plan, you're going to come up with, basically it's going to be, a big paragraph here, because you need to answer all of these questions within the paragraph. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy response. It will not be a one-sentence response. So, think about all of these answers and include them in your response. So everybody has to answer that in your response there. Okay. So you're going to input your answers into our forum post, as well as the thoughts of the succession game. So when you're, entering your thoughts, think about the primary succession versus the secondary succession, and who won, the person that did the primary succession versus the secondary succession. All right. So you don't have to comment on other students in this case. So it's just your own response. And that's basically the 3 assignments. Make sure you're recording the final data for the fruit fly experiment. And then you have, you're going to continue posting your results for our habitat for our grass experiment, okay? In addition, we have an extra credit assignment. So with this extra credit assignment, you're going to, learn about an exotic species and basically write a little essay about it. So you're going to brief report. So you're going to learn about that exotic species, where it originated from and so forth, and see, what about this, invasive species, what its economic impact it's been and how it was introduced and so forth, and just describe it, and then you'll submit it for 5 extra credit points. Okay, so that is due by Sunday or Monday midnight, it looks like. Oh no, I guess that's Sunday midnight as well. And then you have your topic 6 quiz. Now, if we take a look at our to-do list, you do have, again, your midterm exam is the big part, and then you have your 3 assignments plus your little, basically measurements of your grass seed experiment, and then that extra credit assignment if you so choose. This is the last week that we've collected for our grass seed experiment. So if you, you should be working on the fruit fly formal lab report. So that is coming up. So it's due, in a week. So you should be working on it. Maybe, after you've completed the midterm and after you've completed these assignments, you should be working on that formal lab report. And I did post a video tutorial on what to include in that fruit fly lab report, so check that out in the announcements folder. And then you still also have that integration project that's coming up in a couple weeks, so you should be focusing on that as well. So if you haven't even started, again, the fruit fly probably takes priority, but after that you need to start working on that as well. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by my office hours, Mondays and Fridays, 8 a.m., or shoot me an email. And otherwise, good luck on your midterm exams. I'll see you in the Zoom sessions. And don't forget to complete these assignments.